Hello again. These are the Alpha Academy talks looking at the Alpha principles. And today's principle is have the courage to say no, but do not hesitate to say yes. Wow, that sounds complicated. Ariel, help me. What does that mean? Courage.
This is taken from negotiations processes. How do you negotiate? But it's really also a natural outcome of another principle of Alpha, do what you say and say what you do. Because when you go to a negotiation, especially in our business, where we negotiate with big, multi-billion-dollar companies that are the brands, and we have to deliver them the value for a fair price, there's always negotiations. And I try to live by a very simple principle. Don't negotiate. Not as an arrogant approach, but just say what you need, and what you don't need, give away. You're not giving away. You're actually helping the other side. So I say, have the courage to say no, meaning if someone says to you, I want a package that is like your competitors. I don't care about bringing value to the brand through the package. You have to say, listen, this is not my business. And don't be afraid that you'll ruin the relationship or that you will upset the other side because he's not your partner if that's what he says to you. So just be a man or a woman and be courageous and say, this is not for us. On the other hand, if you want something that you can easily give, don't say, I'll give it to him tomorrow when I need the quid pro quo. Give it away. It doesn't cost you anything. In fact, you should offer it to them rather than wait for them to ask. And that requires courage to say no and to say yes.
Interesting. Thank you.
You know, I observe Ariel for
20 years.
No, but it started before even. And one of the things I notice in the way that he negotiates is that first he puts himself in the shoes of the other side. And he think about what did the other party need. Then we go back and say, what is our principles? What are the things that we need? What are the things on which we will say no? It have to do with everything else that Alpha stands for, right? The principles. And that's how we conduct negotiations. So sometimes, quite often, you need courage to say no. And it goes because we are facing companies, customers that are much bigger than Alpha. You know, the big names in the world, in our industry. And when you sit and you're usually one or two people from Alpha side facing a room of 20 people and discussing a deal, it's difficult to say, no, I will not do it.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, you want to please, you want to say yes because we want the deal, we want to offer the service, we want to deliver our products, right? But it cannot come on expense of our principles, and that's where we need to have the courage to say no.
I understand. And speaking about courage, sorry.
No.
What does that mean for the salespeople? In your role as a CEO, how do you ensure that salespeople don't feel frightened but are backed by saying no in a negotiation and potentially being afraid of losing a deal?
It means that we have to back them up. It means that when they say no, they cannot come back to someone above and then that someone will say yes. We have to be in sync, like the orchestra that Ariel was talking about.
The other thing, which is very much in line with this principle is a constructive, not destructive principle. This is what will make people work together. If you do the opposite, or not even the opposite, if you not do it, you might have partnerships that are based on very shaky foundations. If everything that you need, you get, and everything that the other party needs, what they call a win-win, then you really have a partnership. And our goal is to partner with our customers and our suppliers and our banks and everybody that does business with us, is not to be above them or below them. Really be true partners. And that's the meaning of this, or that's what it will lead. So to answer your question, the sales folks at Alpha understand that when they bring this to the table, they help the other party. They don't stand in its way.
So in other words, it's about clarity and getting to the point of, can we have a deal that is a win-win? or not at an earlier point instead of dragging
Exactly,
things by being
exactly.
afraid?
Exactly. You want a job of a salesman?
Yeah.
I can give you an example. We were working on a big project, and we took upon another project with another company. And at a certain point, we realized that we cannot handle both. Even though initially we said yes and we received funds for taking upon the other project, the courage was to go back to that customer and say to that customer, we are very, very sorry, truly sorry, but we realized that we took too much upon ourselves. Here's your check back. We are very sorry, we apologize, but we realize that we cannot make it, and therefore we have to say no.
And this was after we spent the money.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It reminds me of what we recently discussed, walking the talk, being
Exactly.
honest. So creating clarity. I think that was a very impressive testament of living that principle.
Yeah.
A principle that creates clarity, focus, and avoids long negotiations, ultimately creating the win-win for all parties. Thank you so much.
Thank
to
you,
both of
Thomas.
Thank you.